Hi guys, my name's Marcel and today you're gonna learn how to draw like a sir. Today's video is gonna be a video about drawing expressions and emotions. And in fact, it's one of the most important things you could learn when it comes to drawing, especially comic or manga. Because you can always impress somebody by drawing a cool action or fighting sequence. But when it comes to drawing something that doesn't involve action, facial expressions and emotions get even more important than they already are. So, it doesn't matter what kind of style you prefer, if it's comic or manga or just art in general. Today's video is about the 5 most important facial expressions and how you could draw them. Let's go. Now, as a warm-up, let's just take a look at a neutral expression. Now, here I made a little graph. This will appear throughout the video, so you can check this out when it's on screen. As you can see, the cursor is right in the center of the graph. So, the upcoming expression does not have a shred of emotion. The most important thing when it comes to facial expressions are eyebrows, eyes and mouth. But why are those the most important ones? Let's take a look. Even the most slightest change in any of these factors can make for an emotion. That's also something you can spot on my graph on the left side. Of course, all 3 factors are equally important. But the eyebrows do, of course, have a special kind of importance to them. They alone can express a whole bunch of emotions just by themselves. Either way, this here is a truly neutral facial expression. As you can see, I did not draw any wrinkles in this face yet. That's partly because I'm drawing a very young person here, but also because we are going to need wrinkles to express emotion later on. So keep that in mind. Drawing a happy character should be easy, right? All you have to do is drawing the corners of the mouth upwards. Or is it? Is there a way to get even more expressive? If you paid attention, then you would know that eyes and eyebrows are equally as important as the mouth. So why would you leave those factors out? Would be kind of a waste, wouldn't it? So, now that we took care of that, what else could we change? Here you can see a couple of stock photos I just took from Google Images. And as you can see, both persons have visible wrinkles on their faces. In fact, that's something you can spot in DC or Marvel comics quite often. All of those characters are portrayed with wrinkles in their faces, especially when they are laughing or being happy. But I guess you know that if you have ever touched a Superman comic in your life before. Either way, wrinkles make expressions more believable. But keep in mind, different people have different wrinkles in their faces. Some people, for example, have wrinkles on their eyes when they are laughing, like James Franco here. So that means you have to open Google Images yourself and just get going. Search up happy people and take a look how their wrinkles behave. If you incorporate some different wrinkles, then maybe you yourself can make your own individual style by drawing wrinkles that no one else does. Portraying anger is something I find to be very easy. That's because you have the freedom of drawing a lot of wrinkles. So, as you might know, drawing more wrinkles means you can draw more details. And drawing more details is always a good thing. Or in most cases, at least. In fact, this is a prime example of seeing how expressionless a face looks without wrinkles. The most important wrinkles are between your eyes, DBZ style, but also underneath your eyes and also literally on your nose. If you have been attentive, then you know leaving out eyes, eyebrows or your mouth is a waste. And in this scenario, the mouth is especially important. And that I'll prove to you. Tell me which of both images looks more angry to you. Let's just take a look at the eyes. I admit the eyes alone look pretty damn intimidating. But I think we can all agree that the mouth is what makes the difference here. Oda, the artist of One Piece, is pretty damn genius when it comes to expressions. He stretches faces to their utmost limits. And he's also not afraid to do the same thing with female characters. Oh, but back on topic, which wrinkles you could draw is something that depends on the situation. So, in this case as well, Google Images is your friend. I gotta say, I feel kinda like an idiot always have to spelling out to you how an expression has to look like. Because everyone knows how a sad person looks like, right? Your eyebrows are frowning and the corners of your mouth go downwards. But I think you can tell that we can go further than this. Let's take another look at artworks from Oda, because he can draw sadness quite subtle but also pretty damn expressive. And in my humble opinion, I have to say that I think the most common mistake when it comes to drawing expressions is people being way too concerned with how pretty a character has to look like. And of course you can still draw characters pretty and without wrinkles. If you personally prefer aesthetics, then that's completely up to you. But you can also neglect beauty and just draw a few more wrinkles in there, and thus making your characters a lot more expressive. I'm just here to tell you how things work. How or if you apply this knowledge, that's completely up to you. But back on topic, frowning eyebrows meet on your forehead. It's quite the polar opposite to anger, you know, because when you're angry, your eyebrows meet more down between your eyes. Also, another thing I'd like to add, quite like anger, sadness is quite versatile. So that's why, of course you might have guessed it already, just open up Google Images and search some references from out there. The last emotion, if you could call it that, is shock. Of course, what everybody thinks of first is eyes being widened and eyebrows being raised. Also, like with all the other emotions, you can also use this emotion quite versatile. You could portray this emotion in 3 different levels: lightly shocked, heavily shocked, or One Piece. Also, another thing I'd like to add concerning the wrinkles, here you can see a stock photo of a shocked person. On this photo you can spot that shocked people mostly have wrinkles right on their forehead. But there are different ways of portraying shock, so that's just an example, of course. Also, something else that I found out while researching was that there's a shockingly large amount of stock photos of bald men trying to comb their non-existent hair while being shocked. Yeah, that's the internet for you. By the way, drawing the mouth of a shocked person is something that also depends on the situation. In my humble opinion, I would say that you can't go wrong with drawing your mouth open. You know, it really depends. You can be surprised in a good way, or you could be surprised in a less fortunate way. You can just go ahead and mix some other emotions in there, which brings us to our last topic. So here we have a little bonus chapter to this video. Sometimes it may help to just combine emotions. I think the graph I made may help you out with that. I mentioned before that you could be happily shocked, like surprised in a good kind of way. But there's also people that have an emotion of being frustrated, for example. That would be a combination of being angry and sad at the same time. There's so much you could draw here, the possibilities are practically unlimited. So go ahead and try it out yourself, you do not have anything to lose. So that's it for today's video, thank you so much for watching. As you might have guessed, my videos are pretty damn time consuming, so if you could help me out, I would appreciate that. Liking the video and leaving a positive comment goes a long way, believe me. Also a big thank you to all the generous people supporting me on Patreon, and I hope you look forward to another video, because I sure do. I've been Marcel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.